Yo, what's good, y'all? Welcome back. I know I got my pajamas all in the video and shit, but look, I just got done watching, just about done watching HMK's review for, or his spoiler cast talk of Tears of the Kingdom. And I feel like I need to drop a video, and this is the perfect thing for me to talk about. So, when it comes to Tears of the Kingdom, when comparing it to Breath of the Wild, this is just gonna be a rant, spoiler talk. It feels so much better than Breath of the Wild. I mean, Breath of the Wild, I really liked that game, but when it first came out, the amount of hype I had for it, I wouldn't say it was met. And these are the reasons why. I got introduced to open world games through Skyrim, which is still to me one of the best open world games to this day. Now, what I really liked about Skyrim wasn't the main quest, it was the side quest. The amount of stories you could find, just it felt randomly throughout the world, taking me here through this other dimension. I thought shit like that was cool. I'm like, that's how open world games should be. Coming to the time of Breath of the Wild, I was hoping we would see quests like that within the game, and I was worried that we wouldn't, because we hadn't really seen that displayed from Zelda, at least not since Majora's Mask. Breath of the Wild comes out, and the shrines are great. The main dungeons are the bosses are all blights. And the final boss was So, and the story was and it was told in an even more way. All just kind of like, well, what really held the game up though was its gameplay, the physics, the exploration, the sense of discovery. All of that was there. It felt like the perfect adventure sandbox game. But I was missing the story that I wanted. Coming to now with Tears of the Kingdom, that's what I feel like they've really corrected. The story is there. The dungeons are there. They're not Twilight Princess peak dungeons. But they're good. They're way better than they were in Breath of the Wild. Not Ocarina of Time level either. Maybe around Majora's Mask, maybe more enjoyable than those, but not much more complex than those are. These are some pretty simple dungeons with really cool designs. I mean, you got, fuck, this is spoiler talking. I'm talking like I can't even talk about this shit. You have, I first started the game, got through the sky, came down, did a whole bunch of random shit, got onto the story, got the paraglider and shit, and then for me it felt like in the beginning of the game they just kept telling me to go to the Rutos. Like, I would talk to NPC, they would say something about the newsletters in Gerudo or in the Ruto region. Then I would talk to somebody else like Pura, and the first thing she's telling me is how there's a blizzard over there and it's snowed in, you can't get to the town. I'm like, damn, the game's clearly telling me go there first, so I'm just go there first. I knew in my brain I was gonna save Gerudo Desert for last, because to me, as a black person, I like the Gerudo a lot. I feel like it's our only representation. You feel me? So it's cool to see the Gerudos. I always think the desert is a really cool region that I wish they expanded. I wish it was like you could go all the way to the coast of the desert, because man, that's like my favorite part of the map, honestly. It's just not big enough. But I knew I was gonna go there last. I went to the Rutos first, and I had thought that the ice thing was over the jungle in those thunder clouds from the trailers, but it's actually over the Rutos, which makes sense. I'm like, bro, but you end up going like all spiraling up into the. I mean, It was pretty fucking cool, bro. You're going high as shit in the sky, like on these trampolines that are bouncing you up, killing enemies. It's like a whole warpath up there. Then you get up there and you realize, oh shit, this is only like part one of the motherfucking dungeon. This is the lead up to the dungeon. Like how in Twilight Princess they would have like a cool story event and then you go to the dungeon. This game they would have like a lead up and then you're in the dungeon officially. So this was just the lead up. I was like, damn. And it took me a minute to get up there. Get up to the dungeon and you're on like this fucking Viking Nord shit flying in a fucking Thunderhead blizzard. Badass. The music is really cool how as you do each task, it adds another layer of the theme of the dungeon in there. That shit was fire. And then the more you add, the more heroic the theme becomes. By the time you're heading to the boss, the theme feels like you're gonna win. Like you feel like, all right, I'm here now. The hero is here. It has that triumphant feeling, that heroic feeling. So then you complete all that. I thought that dungeon was pretty fucking cool with the wind puzzles and the jumping. And then fight Cole Guerra. That was a pretty fucking cool fight. Easy as shit though. Then I went to the Zoras because I went to them first and I wanted to get them out the way. After a whole bunch of exploring, I go over there. I thought the Zora story was way more interesting this time with the muck or the mud or whatever it was. Sludge. And the fucking Zamtrios boss fight. The mud Zamtrios, but it was like an Octorok that like summoned this mud Zamtrios. That shit was badass. I can't even lie. The lead-up was pretty cool with the bubbles launching you up. Then the design of the water temple was pretty cool. The puzzles were very easy. Get to the boss, and I timed the boss perfectly. So when I got to the boss fight, it was sunset. So I got this sunset look with the look of the water temple. I mean, that shit was beautiful. I'm fighting the boss during the sunset into the night. That shit was epic as hell, bro. That shit felt epic as a bitch. And I thought the design, like the Octorok, I was like, damn, an Octorok, this goofy as shit. Then that nigga summoned Zamtrios. I was like, nah, this shit is cold. That nigga was purple with mud on. That shit was cold. He was swimming. Nah, that shit was cold. I can't even hate on it. Then I went to the Gorons. And ever since before Breath of the Wild came out, my first video game I ever played, Ocarina of Time. Played it with my father, my dad. First video game I ever played. So I've been a Zelda fan since I was like 4 years old. Before Breath of the Wild came out, I was like, man, in the forests of the map, or in like a forest dungeon, imagine if we had Goma in this game. We saw the dragon in one of the Breath of the Wild trailers. I thought that was Volvagia or Volvagia. Yeah. Well, that was Volvagia. Wasn't. It's been raw. But I was disappointed a little bit. My own fault, but I just thought it would be cool. Because of Breath of the Wild's lack of enemy diversity, and there's not like unique bosses really anywhere. It's all generalized. So you didn't see any Goma. Came to Tears of the Kingdom, and I was like, Tears of the Kingdom adds Goma. They will automatically get 1 extra point. No matter if the game's a 9, I'm giving it a 10 just because they also had Goma. Hey, don't hate the player, hate the game. Get to the Gorons. This story was probably the least interesting to me. I'm trying to think though. Yeah, I don't know if this one was as interesting. But the dungeon, the Fire Temple, was badass. Now, I ain't gonna hold you. I cheesed half of it. After a while, I couldn't even figure out where the fuck to go. So I was just creating the longest fucking bridges of all time. Going to the motherfucking moon just to get there. I would launch myself. I was figuring all types of shit out. Go through the ceiling. all that. I had to cheese that motherfucker. But the design of it was cool as a bitch. I can't even lie to you. And the music was cool. It kind of made me think this is supposed to be the fire temple. Oh, something I missed. When you go into the water temple, and I think I dropped a video on this. I believe I did, but I don't have the footage. I'll go and record it one day when I have my Switch again. When you go to the Zora's Domain, part of the lead up is you have to go to the water filtration, the old waterworks. That's what it was. The old waterworks, which was in the lake. Think about that shit. You have to dive into the lake at Zora River. You end up in these old waterworks. When you go inside, there's a pillar in the middle, and then there's 4 offshoots. Once you fill it up, the pillar in the middle, I realized, holy shit. The old Zora Waterworks is the Zora temple, the water temple from Ocarina of Time. Tell me it's not. Look at the design of it. Look at the design of the one in Ocarina of Time. There's definitely more Asian inspiration in Ocarina, but you can tell that this is supposed to be that temple, like old and crumbled. They don't use it anymore. The new water temple is the one that was up in the sky. But from the old kingdom, that's now the old waterworks now. Because the water temple originally in Ocarina of Time, it wasn't a temple where they worshipped a god. It was a water factory to create fresh water for the Zora to swim in Lake Hylia and take it up to Zora's Domain so they could connect the two. Think about that. The old waterworks is just the water temple, man. That when I realized that when I was playing the game, I thought that was like the coolest reference ever. So to me, the fire temple also gave me a similar feeling, like this is probably because we're inside Death Mountain again. We haven't been inside Death Mountain, I don't think, since Ocarina of Time. We're in the crater, like in the crater. That's where you go in Ocarina of Time. In Twilight Princess, you're in the mine. You're in like the fire. We haven't even been there. That's literally the fire temple from Ocarina of Time. But now, in Tears of the Kingdom. I thought that dungeon was pretty cool. And then we get to the boss. You had to fight those dragon heads on top of the volcano. I was thinking that's probably going to be the boss. So when you get in there, I'm like, man, we're looking around the room. I'm like, hold on. Every Goma boss fight starts with you looking around the room. Then we look up. It does that up pan that it always does, where it zooms. And then you just see the rock open. The eye comes out. I'm like, there's no way this is Goma. As soon as I saw that, I just knew. Came off the legs came out, dropped off the ceiling. I think it did. Some shit like that. Marbled Goma, got up, started screaming. I was like, they get an extra point. I was literally saying to myself, they literally got their extra point right now. They put Goma in the game. So it don't even matter if the last dungeon is trash, they got Goma. 10. 10. If it's a 9, then it's a 10 because they got Goma. That boss fight was cool as shit. You gotta shoot Yonobo, whatever the fuck his name is. That was cool. The Sage abilities were dumb as hell. Cool in concept, but in execution, horrendous. Because they were like party members, which was cool as shit. It was cool having party members. It was annoying as hell that every time you did something, they teleported and then fucking went inside you every time you were climbing or you fell or you did anything. That was annoying as shit. It was also annoying as shit how they would kind of clog up the camera. Like, they didn't move around enough to make you feel like you have a party. Like, when you're playing Kingdom Hearts, they're out there fighting, but they're off so that they're not just clogging the camera. You're really just seeing Sora, and then Donald and Goofy are, like, over here and over here. All the sages would just kind of do this. And it made it hard to even see Link through all of it because it's just phasing in and out of the camera. Shit's annoying as shit. But the concept was cool, and I would like for them to work on that, because having party members in Zelda would be cool as hell. Like, you're going on an adventure with your party. Oh man, that would be so cool. That would be so fucking cool. So I like that concept. Maybe just bring the actual characters next time and just give them all animations. Um, but the way you had to, I had a brain fart. The way you had to use their abilities also made it worse. You had to run up to them and press A, but you had to be inside of them basically. And the problem with that is that they're almost designed to stay out of the way, but not designed well enough to really stay out of the way. So when you're actually trying to go get them, they're running from you because they're trying to keep a certain distance. But then it makes it really difficult to ever actually utilize their abilities. So the only one I ever really used was fucking Tulin, because that shit was useful as shit. But everything else was only when I thought about it and I went out of my way to go do it. Back on track. Then I went to Thunderhead. I went to the Thunderhead because I was wondering, all right, what's going on out here? No, first I went to that village that you rebuild. I can't remember the name of it. The tropical village. That was my favorite place in Breath of the Wild. So I went back there, and it was cool because they kept bringing up pirates, and I love pirates. I'm a huge pirate fan. So I'll go back there, do the storyline with the pirates. I thought it was cool as shit. I did Eventide somewhere in there too. Thought that was cool as hell. It was like the pirate hideout. Pirates in the next game. Sailing, I'm just saying. And then I went to Thunderhead. Forced my way through that shit. I have no idea how you're even meant to get through Thunderhead. I've never heard anybody talk about it. I've never heard anyone say, oh, the actual way to get through there is you have to bring this light that lets you see or something like that. I literally just glided for a long ass time, missed it, glided again, and then I managed to land on one of the islands. And then I just used like my Ultra Hand or one of the other abilities to see the landscape that it would pulsate on, and then if there was items. And then sometimes it would kind of help you see through the fog. I have no clue how you're supposed to get through Thunderhead. None at all. I literally just forced my way through. I beat the fucking colossal thing up there and everything. Got to the fucking Dragon Head Island or whatever. I was like, oh shit, this Dragon Head that I heard about. Because I did a huge depths exploration. In between these dungeons, I'm spending entire days in real life just running through the depths. I was doing that shit for the longest time. Trying to see what was down there. So I had already found that factory down there. I didn't know what to do. Couldn't figure it out. Left it alone. Got here. It took me down that thing. And it lets you see again for a little bit while you're there. Which I still don't even know how you're even supposed to get through that area. I have no clue. I had no Thunder Guard at that point. I was just using all the fucking... forgot what the fuck... construct gear. Because it didn't get struck by lightning. Went down there, reconstructed Minoru, did the Sage Temple run, fought that boss, beat it, and then I went to Gerudo Desert. And then I thought that storyline was cool as shit with the sandstorms, but this time making it even like more difficult to traverse through, and the ways they changed the desert landscape, that was cool as hell. They added that valley that's in like Ocarina of Time. You know, the valley that's in the middle that you have to run across with the boots. Made it through there. Thought it was cool that they had like now an underground city. That dungeon was cool as shit. But the Queen Gibdo boss, man, I'm not a fan of it. I can't say I'm a fan of that boss. It was annoying as hell. It was different. It literally felt like I'm supposed to be here last. Like, this is the most difficult boss, for sure. Because it was even hard to use her ability. But, managed to beat it. Was a little disappointed because I saved that one for last because I thought it'd be the coolest because I thought we were going to go to Arbiter's Grounds or something like that. Cool that we went to a pyramid. L boss, though. Goma made up for it, but L boss. Then I went to Hyrule Castle. Beat Phantom Ganon. That was badass. I thought that was going to be the final boss for a second, but I was glad it wasn't. Then when I went and talked to all of them, like, Pura and them, I had already done Minoru shit, so when they brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, I did that already. And they're like, damn, Link, you really that nigga. That shit made me feel good. I was like, damn, I'm really out here. I'm like, really role-playing as Link. Like, I'm just going off on the adventures. You ain't even gotta tell me. I'm already doing it. And between all this, I'm doing all the side stories and all that shit. I'm doing all the side adventures, all of that. I have to do like another playthrough so I give a more in-depth review where I remember it. Because I beat this shit like 2 months ago. Like, I beat it in like a week or some shit. Then I went to the depths. Went down to the Ganon boss. Fought the Menace Unleashed. I thought that title was cold as hell. Because, you know, every Zelda boss got a title. It's like the title and then the boss. Twilight Arachnid, Armor Goma. Armored Arachnid, Goma. Or Armored Parasitic Arachnid. You know, they all have their titles. So I thought it was cool that his title was The Menace Unleashed. Like, we just unleashing a menace. His backstory cutscenes were cool. All the story cutscenes were really good in this game. I'm still not a huge fan of all the story being in the past. I wish we saw more story in the present. That's probably my biggest gripe with the game. Still. So I hope in the next one they can kind of do something better with that. But, epic boss fight. Demon King Ganondorf, or whatever the second phase was called. Even more epic. Looked cooler than fucking Demise. Looked like Demise, but cooler. Because he's also Ganondorf. Ganondorf's just cooler than Demise anyway. But then he had an even cooler design. So he's just better. Best Ganondorf design of all time. That boss fight was epic. Him and the Phantom Ganons. Then him alone, it was difficult as shit. I'm not gonna lie. I was down to like 5 hearts by the end of that shit. Get my ass whooped. Because my thing with the game was I didn't upgrade any of my armor. Because in Breath of the Wild, I liked how difficult it was at the beginning, but I didn't like how as the game went on, it got easier. Because your gear was upgraded, you had better weapons, it was actually getting easier. The enemies were just having more health. So in this game, I made it so I will not upgrade any armor until after I beat the game. I even beat one of the fucking King Ghidorah, was it King, what the fuck is it? It ain't Gibdo, but it's fucking... Damn. I know what I'm thinking of, the 3-headed dragon shit. I killed one of the kings without upgrading any of my gear. Shit was fucking difficult as shit, but I did it. But, yeah, so I was taking mad damage the whole game. Oh yeah, the first time I ever fought Phantom Ganon was also in the Deku Tree. Because all the hands that I saw before that, I just ran. I didn't even know you could beat them. That was the first time I ever killed it. And then when Phantom Ganon showed up, I thought that was the coolest fucking reference. Because we're inside of the Great Deku Tree fighting Phantom Ganon. Almost like it's the Forest Temple. I thought that was cool as shit. But, yeah. Then he eats the stone. I actually didn't even know what he was... Wait, I'm trying to remember. Did I? When I was fighting the boss, I never thought of him doing that. But once he was getting ready to do it in the cutscene, I was like, he's going to eat the stone, bro. And then when he did it, I was like, damn. I didn't even think of that beforehand. I was thinking, what's his last phase going to be? Is this his last phase, or is he going to have, like, one more big phase? And I was thinking, if so, what's it gonna be? Is he gonna turn into Ganon? What's gonna happen? And then when I saw the scene getting started, I was like, he's gonna eat the fucking stone and become a dragon, bro. Nigga turned into the most massive dragon of all time, the Demon Dragon. Demon King Draconified Demon Dragon. Nigga don't even have a name, he's just Demon Dragon. Dragon Ganondorf. That boss was way better than Dark Beast. Still not difficult or anything, but you could tell it was just for the spectacle, and the spectacle was way better in this one. You're up in the sky, you got the two dragons flying around fighting each other, basically. That was cool as shit. You're diving around like it's fucking Shang-Chi. That shit was badass. The dive to catch Zelda. I did not like how Link got his arm back. Cool for the happy ending, but in the beginning of the game, they said his arm was basically gone, and this is the only way to save him. How did they get it back? Also, how did they turn Zelda back? When did they just had that power the whole time? I don't even know how that worked. But the dive to catch her was cool. But then when the game ends, it's like, man, I want to see what happens after. Like, what are they doing next? A trilogy. Third game, they leave Hyrule. They go out into the ocean. They want that Breath of the Wild trilogy. They go out into the ocean. And this time, instead of the force, the evil being from within the country itself, the evil comes from outside. They're having an invading force. Pirates or something. But, yeah. This is one of my longest videos. Just kind of ranting and rambling. Overall, I thought the game was great. The fusion was cool as hell. I was fusing every fucking thing. The Ultra Hand was cool as shit. Building everything, flying all over the fucking skies and shit. I wish the combat was a little more in depth. The flurry rush, I don't even understand how you dodge. The dodge timing is so weird. But I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, man. I'm giving Breath of the Wild an 8. I'm giving Tears of the Kingdom a 10. This feels like what Breath of the Wild truly should have been. Questing, feeling of truly adventuring, of finding new places, caves, the depths, the sky, just all the new. They got fucking Hollow Bastion up there, the factory. Come on, man. That shit look like Hollow Bastion from a distance. Don't tell me it didn't. That was the coolest looking island to me, just for the fact that that shit looked like Hollow Bastion up in the sky. But, yeah, man. Great fucking game. Great job from Nintendo, man. I'm gonna keep petitioning for that Kid Icarus Uprising port, remaster, remake, sequel. Either one of them shits onto the Switch or the next system. Either one. We need Kid Icarus. That's off topic. But yeah, great job. 10 out of fucking 10. This is what I wanted Breath of the Wild to be. I got it in Tears of the Kingdom. This is exactly what I wanted. I think now we got to shift away from Hyrule, or shift away from a kingdom. Maybe go to the ocean. Maybe an outside kingdom that looks totally different with like samurai style, or Western. A Western Zelda would be badass. Samurais would be badass. Something different, culture, or out of, pirates or something like that. Please don't take us back to Hyrule. Definitely not this Hyrule. Let's just get a totally new cast, totally new Zelda, totally new Link. If we do the trilogy, cool. If not, I'd probably prefer that, or do another one and then go back and finish the trilogy. But I want to see something new in the next one for sure. But yeah, man. This is my rant, spoiler cast review for Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Peace.